Okay, first things first. Let's start with the basics. Most important thing to consider is that you are giving them essentially a resume, which lists your extracurriculars, etc. You fill out a document online that tells all the things and all the different ways that you're involved, your GPA and such like this. We're calling that your resume. Your essay should not be about your resume or not predominantly about your resume. Anytime you spend talking about band that you were involved with or wrestling coach or wrestling team captain, things like this, it's wasting time. Really, the resume has all of these dots, these bullet points about you, and the essay is supposed to sort of fill in the gaps between those dots so you get a more complete picture of the person. Now, really, it comes down to you're competing with many people. Here's a spectrum of the best candidate student in the nation, and here's the least likely candidate for college that's applying to schools. Most people write their essays in a way that gets them sort of stuck in the bottom half. And what that ends up looking like is people structure their essays in what I call a sort of a laundry list or a chore list, where it sounds like imagine being given a list of things to do by your parents. You know, clean the bathroom, um, pick up your room, and imagine that that's not an essay form at all. But people's essays end up looking like this: I was born then or here. I went to Walker's Grove Elementary. Then I transferred to um, New Trier High School. You end up with a bulleted list of very dry and undynamic things. Now, most of you are sophisticated enough that that's not exactly what your essays are going to sound like. Not short, choppy, declarative sentences. But if your essay smells like this at all, if it all seems like a chronological list of things and how you would leapfrog from there to there to there, you're not coming out of the top half with your essays. This is going to be very dry. So the key is, how do you get beyond this lump of people that tend to conglomerate here in the bottom half? How do you enter into this next tier up? We'll talk about Ivy Leagues in just a second. But we have to take a quick break from essays. I want to use a metaphor to describe to you what I'm talking about. How do we get you more dynamic than that? Well, when we're talking about film, for example, this is going to be a metaphor, but this is of the best person in the world. This is the most evil person in the world. What you'll find is that movies create a character arc. So you have a character who starts out really good, but then they get tempted and they end up, robbing a bank or whatever. They end up as a bad person, or they start off bad, but they meet this girl and it makes them a wonderful person afterwards. But you see an arc in their character. They go from one state of negativity to positivity, or positivity to negativity. Some do these sorts of things, and these are basic storylines and arcs. But what you'll find is that in a movie that takes this arc, for example, this arc is your main character, and all of the other characters in the movie tend to be what are called static characters. They don't move. So the focus is on the interchange of the spirit or of the type of the main character. And so you can see this happening in almost every single movie. And the reason is Hollywood is very aware of how to endear you to a character, which means how do you get someone to sympathize and bond with a particular character. This is the one that, as something happens to them at this point in the movie, you care about it. You want them to thrive. You want them to exist. You want them to see where they go. You want them to see the consequences of their actions. And they want to keep everyone else flat so you don't get distracted by the main purpose or the main arc of the storyline. So let's bring this back to what this has to do with your essays. Well, if your essays are flat chronological affairs, like the laundry list I stated, you come across as a flat character that no one cares about. It's you're not dynamic, and no one really bonds with you or cares or wants you to succeed or thrive or whatever. There's just no connection between you and the reader. So the key is, how do we make How do you write your essay so that we can show a change in your inner character? So if your name is Ben, like mine is, we want to structure an essay that shows Ben version number one, or who Ben was at one particular moment. Then we want to show a catalyst or an epiphany or an aha moment or a problem, something that changes me from Ben 1 into Ben 2. And then you're going to end up with an arc. You're going to end up with a bend in the character arc. And that's what we're after in order to maximize your essay. And I'll show you how to do that momentarily.